We're ready to go with our next speaker. Susan Reed is the Director of Business Development at the Community Media Center of Carroll County, hence the logo. Susan holds dual master's degrees in psychology and marketing, and her work focuses on the intersection of human behavior, creativity, and the community connection. Tonight, Susan invites us to see inclusion not just a concept, but as a practice, something we can enact in our daily lives to create stronger, more compassionate communities. Please welcome Susan Reed and her talk on inclusion, how perception changes your reality.
Inclusion sounds simple until it shows up at your kitchen table. What happens when someone you love doesn't fit the expectations of the world? Today, I want to explore that question with you using a mix of story, psychology, and reflection on how we perceive each other. I have 3 children. When my youngest was 2, I knew something was different. He would throw intense temper tantrums and struggle to make sense of his world. As a parent, there is nothing harder than watching your child struggle and feeling powerless to help. In kindergarten, he couldn't say his alphabet to recognize his letters. By 1st grade, he was diagnosed with dyslexia, visual cognitive disconnect, nonverbal learning disability, and frontal lobe dysfunction. That's a lot for anyone to process, and it shaped how I view learning, growth, and support. Having fought a biased educational system, fast forward to age 19 when he told me he wanted to be a woman. My perception of him and myself shifted instantly. It challenged the stories and expectations I had been taught all my life. Yet despite the internal struggle, I loved her, supported her, and listened intently as I had done throughout her youth. I understood that our perception shapes our reality, even in our closest relationships, and I wasn't going to let my initial reactions distort the love and support she deserved. Perception bias is a psychological reality. As Daniel Kahneman says, we see what we expect to see. Our brains unconsciously filter information to fit existing narratives, making it easy to overlook details that don't match what we already believe. And then confirmation bias reinforces this. We notice evidence that confirms our assumptions, and we ignore or discount evidence that contradicts them. It's like having an internal editor quietly shaping what we believe about people without us even realizing it. Implicit bias works in a similar way. We unconsciously assign traits or expectations to people based on social norms, often without even knowing it. Even well-intentioned people are influenced by these patterns, which can change how we interpret situations and interact with others. All of these internal biases combine to form social stereotypes. They become narratives that justify our actions. Behaviors shaped by bias confirm our expectations and then reinforce our perceptions, making it feel like our assumptions were correct all along. Let's try a quick exercise. Look at these 2 faces for a moment, and which one do you instinctively trust? Do you pick the one on the left as seeming more trustworthy? Think about it. How much of that choice was a gut reaction and how much was conscious, measured thought? Acting on that gut reaction is your implicit bias showing up. We all carry it. But the key is noticing it. It requires mindfulness and self-awareness, a conscious moment to check ourselves before reacting. That small pause can change the outcome of any interaction. Social norms tell us who is considered acceptable and who isn't. Deviating from them can trigger discomfort, judgment, or even rejection from people we love. Our brains are wired to detect differences quickly, but our reaction isn't always fair or accurate. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines. When someone doesn't match expectations, they feel unfamiliar or surprising, and we may respond differently, even unconsciously. Shifting these biases takes conscious effort and repeated practice. Self-awareness is a muscle that must be exercised. Even love doesn't automatically prevent this. I loved my child deeply, yet my first reaction was internal conflict, a clash between my heart and social expectations. Recognizing that struggle was the first step toward true acceptance, a step anyone can take. Psychologists like Carl Rogers remind us the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Acceptance means allowing reality in without resistance. That openness transforms perception and creates space for empathy and understanding. Perception shapes reality. How we view someone influences our actions towards them, and the responses are shaped by how we treat them. Small shifts in perception ripple outward, affecting conversations, relationships, and even the dynamics of entire groups or communities. When we notice bias, question assumptions, and embrace differences, we disrupt self-fulfilling prophecies. Our conscious choice to see someone fully rather than through the lens of expectation can transform an interaction and make inclusion possible. Next time you encounter someone who challenges your expectations, family, friend, or stranger, pause and ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Consider whether your reaction comes from fear, habit, or genuine understanding. That small pause can dramatically change the way you relate and connect. Then remember, you have the power to rewrite your perceptions. Awareness and intention are tools you carry every day. By noticing assumptions and choosing understanding, you create connection instead of division and guide interactions toward empathy rather than judgment. Inclusion isn't just an idea, it's a choice we make in every interaction. See, listen, reflect, and then act with understanding. Each moment is an opportunity to challenge bias, open hearts, and show that the world can be a place where differences are celebrated rather than feared.
Very nice, Susan. For those of you who weren't here during the mic check where we all came up and went, test 1, 2, 1, 2, Susan sang "The Wind Beneath My Wings" and the entire song. It was stunning. I thought she was going to do that tonight.